You know, for literally thousands of years, we've been trying to figure out one of our most powerful emotions, love. But what if I told you that over 1,000 years ago, a poet created a detailed, systematic guide to its secrets? Well, today, we're diving into that very text.
Just look at this. You can feel the connection in this sculpture, even after 1,000 years. It's a story that just transcends time. And it really makes you wonder, right? How did ancient cultures try to not just feel love, but to systematically understand it? Okay, so when you think of ancient Indian texts on love, what's the first thing that pops into your head? The Kama Sutra, right? Of course it is. But there's another incredibly influential work that took a much more systematic approach to what it called the science of love.
All right, let's dive into our first section. Beyond the Kama Sutra, an overlooked successor.
This text is called the Rati Rahasya, which means secrets of love. And get this, it became so ridiculously popular that the author's name Kokkoka actually became another word for the art of love itself. His name was even used to create a whole new term, Koka Sastra, which basically means the teachings of Kokkoka.
And this is where you can really see the difference. Think of the Kama Sutra as this big philosophical foundation. The Rati Rahasya, though, which came later, was meant to be more like a practical handbook, systematic and way easier to read. And one of its biggest innovations was a much more detailed way of classifying lovers, which we are absolutely about to get into.
Okay, on to section 2, uncovering the secret of love. So who exactly was this guy Kokkoka, the mind behind it all? So Kokkoka wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel here. He was more like a master curator, a synthesizer. He looked at all the wisdom that came before him and thought, okay, how can I organize this? How can I make all this incredible knowledge easier for people to understand and use?
And this timeline really puts his work into perspective, doesn't it? I mean, he was writing centuries after the Kama Sutra, so he had the benefit of hindsight. And you can see it paid off, because by the 12th century, his text was the go-to reference, quoted by major poets all over the place.
And look, this isn't just something we're saying looking back. Modern scholars, like Professor Bhatt here, put it right up there, second only to the Kama Sutra. That tells you just how huge its influence has been over the centuries.
All right, section 3, a science of lovers. Now we're getting to the real heart of the Rati Rahasya, the thing that made it such a game changer, its incredibly detailed system of classification.
So, Kokkoka takes the Kama Sutra's 3 types of women and adds a 4th. But here's the key. It wasn't just about adding one more category. It was about the depth. This was a full-on profile, right? It wasn't just about looks. It was about everything from personality and character to, believe it or not, even their scent and the way they walk.
And these are the 4 archetypes he came up with. Padmini, the lotus woman, Chitrini, the art woman, Shankhini, the conch woman, and Hastini, the elephant woman.
Just look at the incredible detail here. The Padmini is painted as this ideal, graceful, walks like a swan. The Chitrini is the creative, artistic type. And it gets so specific, right down to the Shankhini preferring red clothes. And then you have the Hastini, the elephant-like woman who, well, let's just say she's described as having a voice that's a bit unmelodious.
And hey, this wasn't a one-sided thing. This kind of detailed breakdown wasn't just for women. Kokkoka took the existing system for men and just layered on a ton of new detail, both psychological and physical.
So for the men, we have 3 archetypes. The Shasha, which is the hare, the Vrisha, the bull, and the Haya, the horse.
And again, the traits are so specific. The Shasha, or hare, is described as pleasant and dignified. The Vrisha, or bull, is kind and sincere. But check out the Haya, the horse. He's described as super jealous and lazy, but also mature and truthful. It just goes to show these weren't simple cartoons. They were these really complex, nuanced portraits of different kinds of people.
Okay, let's move on. Section 4, the art of the embrace. So beyond just putting people into categories, the text gets into the practice of love, and this is where the language gets absolutely beautiful.
I mean, listen to the names for different kinds of embraces. They are so poetic. You've got the creeper climbing a tree, the sesamum and rice seed to describe a really tight, close hug, and my personal favorite, the milk and water embrace, which is meant to symbolize this perfect, inseparable union. It's literally poetry in motion.
And this wasn't just some abstract idea on a page. If you look at temple sculptures from that same time period, you can see these exact embraces carved right into the stone. It's this powerful reminder that the art and the literature were having the same conversation about what it means to be intimate.
The level of detail is just incredible. Take the Gatita kiss, for example. It's not just a kiss, right? It's laid out as this whole multi-sensory experience with super precise instructions, right down to closing your lover's eyes with your hand. That kind of detail tells you they were paying really close attention to human connection.
So that brings us to our final section, an enduring legacy. What's the lasting impact of this text? What does its journey from this ancient secret to a modern curiosity actually tell us? Well, the Rati Rahasya's influence was just massive. Its systematic approach, especially those 4 female archetypes, became the blueprint. It literally shaped Indian literature and poetry for hundreds of years.
But this is what I find so fascinating. This disclaimer from an English translation from 1965. It says the book could only be sold to doctors, lawyers, scholars, basically the professionals. It shows that even in the 20th century, the information in this book was seen as powerful, almost like a clinical, psychological text. Definitely not just a casual beach read.
And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? In our world of dating apps and endless personality quizzes, we're still trying to do the exact same thing Kokkoka was doing over 1,000 years ago. We're trying to classify, to understand, to find some kind of system in the beautiful, wonderful chaos of love. And maybe the most amazing thing isn't how ancient this text is, but how surprisingly modern its whole quest feels.